Hello, in this video we're going to go over the definition dropdowns, which you can use to adjust the results that are returned when you perform a lookup on some Japanese text. So let's go ahead and paste our Japanese text into here and we'll do our lookup. This text is partial contents of a telephone conversation. So let's go over the various elements that we have for each line that has been processed here. So for starters, we have the original line. It's the original Japanese. Next, we have the definition dropdowns. These are what we're going to talk about very shortly. Next is the simple suggested line, and this is the translation that the translation tool has come up with. And then we have an alternate suggestion, which is provided by querying Bing's translation API, and we can see that suggestion there if we click on that link. So the last thing is the translation with control codes, which is our currently selected default per line processing type. And then in here we have all of the suggested line is pasted in here, which we can edit by hand. Now before we do any of that hand editing, we're actually going to want to check our definition dropdowns and see if there's anything in here that we can adjust before we do our manual edits. Excuse me, so this definition dropdowns is actually all of the matches that were found in the translation memories for the text in this sentence. And you can see there's a lot, and a lot of these are not used. The ones that are used in the final translation here are highlighted in red, and the ones that aren't used are sort of grayed out in gray, and they're italicized to differentiate them. So you know, any of these terms or phrases can have multiple translations. So you can see those here if you click on this, and it's possible that some of these translations make more sense in the context of this text here that we have. So let's examine this a little more closely. We have, sumimasen. Nanika, I believe that's yo ga atta kiga suru n desu kedo, chotto do wasure shichatte. So basically what they're saying is, I'm sorry. You know I had some reason for calling you, and but I'm spacing out right now. And you know, so they say, sugu ni wa omoidase sou mo nai n de, mata ato de kake naoshimasu. So it's like, you know, it just doesn't seem like I'm gonna remember it right away. You know, I'll call you again later. So, and then she says, you know, basically, oh really? Okay. So, so yeah. So looking at what we have here, is there anything that we already have in our translation memory that would be a little more accurate? So I think one that stands out here is tasks for, I believe that's yo. In this case, business makes a little more sense. You know, I had some sort of business. I had some business with you. You know, I had some sort of reason for calling you. So let's go ahead and we'll switch to that. Also down here, actually, a good candidate, I see, which is a very good translation for soul if it's on its own and maybe followed by a period, but being followed by a question mark like that really is a better translation. So let's go ahead and submit those selected values. And really these two submit buttons are not strictly necessary. This is a dev instance, and I was playing around with trying to do a different kind of resubmit, and currently these both perform pretty much the same way. So so here we go. So we've got something business there was instead of something tasks or task there was, and down here we have really. So you can see that that has had an effect on this, and not only that, but by choosing those from the drop-downs, we have indicated to the translation memory that this is a translation of this that we used this one time in lieu of the one that it brought up before. So now it's going to know that, well, you know, I was bringing up one translation, but this other translation was actually the one that they wanted, and it's going to remember that. And that's going to factor in when it's trying to figure out which definition or which translation to use next time. That doesn't always mean that the one that you happen to pick is going to be the one that comes up next time, but there's a possibility that it will, if there's enough, if it sort of has enough authority, then that will become the default translation for that. So please, if you're using this tool, go ahead and use these definition drop-downs. You're going to be contributing something useful to the translation memory. So in addition to that, I do want to show how it would work if you were going to use a force use as well. So let's take a quick look here. This maybe is not the best example, but we definitely have a little bit of confusion in here. This is not really coming up with anything that's super accurate to what is really trying to be said here. So one thing that stands out is we actually have "een" coming up here as sincerity, and "nigh," which is actually not, strictly speaking, is a bit more accurate in this case. I mean, it's more accurate than sincerity. That's nothing like what we want. But "nigh," we are adding the negative to "omwe da se so mulnai." So let's go ahead and we'll pick that, as we'll force use that instead of this. And this is what you would do if the tool was just picking the wrong word and there was another word that was matched. That would be better. And we're going to also, once again, resubmit with selected values. And that's going to take just a sec. And what we should come back with here is "not" instead of "sincerity." So there it is, also "not with" instead of also "sincerity." Or might not have even gotten "also" before. So so there's that. That is how you use the definition dropdowns to adjust the results that you get back and contribute to the translation tool. And from here you would just use your regular adding in additional translations that aren't in the translation memory, and resubmitting at that point to finish out this text, or just making your manual edits in here.